right, everybody. Hey, I'm the Consciousness and Economics and Urban Farm Project YouTube channel. Anyway, yeah, we got some good things going on today. Yeah, super good things that are going on. And I want to talk to you about what happened yesterday at 4 a.m. in the morning. I was on the sidewalk, and the ice was so bad here in Reno that I slipped and fell. Make sure that people don't get into the camera view so I'm not, violation of people's rights. Okay, so anyway, it's all part of this whole thing that's going on with this ceremonial stuff that they were talking to me about the other night in the dreaming world, where a lot of people were, and they were traveling from different parts of the dreaming world to collect, and some ceremony that's going on. And then also there's this personal ceremony that I'm going to be going through. It scared me a little bit because one of the people in our group had gone through it, even though I don't know exactly what it is. And he was kind of crippled, and I was kind of terrified. And so they were talking to me kind of in English language, and but they also were talking to me telepathically. So a lot of the information is really hard because I don't really have a verbal word structure that can actually talk about, the images and information they were conveying telepathically. But when I became really scared that this guy had gone through the ceremony and he was all crippled up physically, I started to kind of panic, because, I don't want to be hit or abused or whatever needs to happen. That's just not the path that I go to anymore. I don't do extreme beating and then have to suffer with the pain and whatever else, the post-traumatic stress disorder of it all. So now, like this ice event from yesterday morning, I may go through a physical scenario, but they're not allowing me to suffer in the physical way anymore. I don't have to go through that part. So, but I'll tell you that story in a minute. But so they, expressed to me telepathically that, oh, no, not to be afraid, that in the physical world, this person's body is, physically damaged from this dreaming world type scenario or initiation or whatever it's going to be, but that it's an honor that the person, basically became crippled in the physical world to get through, change, shift, move on. Whenever you go into a lodge, I love the old way where, when you step at the lodge door to go in, you basically honor, all the directions, and you turn clockwise and you move slowly. And a lot of it is so that you can see the world that you're in now. And so you're going into the womb to be birthed again. So when you come out of the lodge after, anywhere from 2 to 6 hours, sometimes longer, that you're transformed and the world will be new. So you take one last look around, kind of a thing. So, going through some of these processes is like you're dying, right? There's deaths that are going on. Very shamanic stuff. It's just about death and resurrection, death and resurrection, death and resurrection, especially while you're in the physical realm dealing with a lot of the other realms. So, I was concerned about the crippling, and he was one of the people that was traveling with us in our group to get to this main area in the dreaming world. And this is not the same kind of dreaming that you dream at night. This is a lot of work that I've done over my life to contact, other people who've left this world. And I've talked about this before, that a lot of the practitioners that help me, they're not in this physical world. So once I was able to stand on my feet holistically in my own way and cure my brain cancer, then, at periodic steps in my process, there have been other people who've left this world true shamans or sorcerers or whatever you want to call them. And they will come through. Sometimes they'll grab me and drag me over there and then shoot me back out here. And then sometimes they actually will come here and actually work on me physically, or whatever. And some of those experiences can be pretty rough. I've had some pretty rough experiences with one female person that has come through and worked on me from the world in which she created where she lives when she left here with her physical body. And she, gave me one hell of an adjustment one time. And basically I had been at this place where there was like 200 other people doing the same kind of practices that were like 10,000 years old, taught by people who have been trained in these ancient practices that are, we call them magical passes, or lots of different kinds of stuff. Carlo Castaneda coined some of it as tensegrity, but it was at this big place where a lot of us had come together to do some heavy work, and during that process it was pretty intense. I talked about it on radio shows I've been on, but I don't think I've ever really talked about the whole thing on a YouTube video. But anyway, so after that I was guided to I had to return home from LA, and I was pretty out of it, and then ended up staying at this hot springs on the way back to Reno on 395 South. And I got a camp, like a tent camp, nice upscale tent camp. And I was asleep, and in the middle of the night, I felt somebody, lift my legs off the bed. So my rib cage and my head on the right side was still on the bed. And then somebody lifted the lower parts of my body and pulled my legs together and started to twist. And as soon as I could feel like the pressure of the twist happening, I started to kind of wake up, and then I was in that void, and she put her hand on me, on my chest, and she just said, surrender, and I'm not good at surrendering. If I can't see it, smell it, hear it, taste it, like, I'm really cautious, because I've been pretty effed up by beings that are not really working so much with the light. So I'm very, very, very particular and hardcore when I'm dealing with a lot of this stuff. But I could just feel that, she had come through to help me. And then as soon as I surrendered and I took in a breath, and she twisted, and then my legs dropped onto the bed, and I could feel like my whole spine all the way up to, from, my tailbone all the way up to the base of my neck snap. Every single vertebrae snapped. And it was like super intense. It was intense for my body to deal with. It was intense for my brain to deal with. But I just laid on the bed in the position I was left, and literally took me 5 hours to be able to force myself, because I had to check out and drive home. It took me 5 hours to be able to actually, move my legs and my feet, and the pain was like super intense. And then it took a while for me to be able to stand up and actually walk out into the car and drive home. So, and then I have some other people who come through too that work on me. One was Asian descent when he was here, so his body still looks Asian, and he has a major world that he's built adjacent to this one, and he has this amazing, ancient apothecary with herbs and medicines, and he works on me. He does, um, types of acupuncture. He's also done some really interesting adjustments to my neck and head. And yeah, so I go there. So I don't really use doctors, and I don't really use other people's medicine. If it's native, I'll totally use it. Original, indigenous, no problem. But I don't really use, I don't use the system's work at all. I don't even use a lot of homeopathics or anybody else, because, they'll just F me up. They'll send me backwards, in my physical progress. So, and I'm just not going to do that unless you're elevated, at a heightened state where you're a being, a hurt person that took your physical body because you could generate so much power that this world couldn't, you didn't conform, it didn't control you anymore, and then you left and created your whole new reality in your world. I mean, why would I go to anyone here in this reality? Because they're just going to injure me and make me sick, because that's this world, it's sick. So even, that's what I had to learn with my brain counselor, even though I was in holistic stuff, doing structural medicine. And when I had brain cancer, and how limited, all of these people are, I don't care who, they have a PhD, a doctor, a homeopathic, naturopathic, or whatever else, basic bottom line is like, these people couldn't help me. And in some cases, they made me worse. And I had to learn that, it taught me also an important thing about working on my clients is to come to them clean. And that, I can't help people if I haven't been there myself and I haven't worked through it, right? So a lot of it has to do with vibration, and they do make you sick. I went to several people who were supposed to be top of the line during my brain cancer, and they made me so much worse that that's kind of when I became resolute with, if I need to figure out something about my health, I need to learn it myself, and then that way I can bring something into this world that this world doesn't have to help people, bypass the systems of these world, including, on health as well. So anyway, so I'm going through this whole dreaming ceremony. They said that the guy that was crippled, and he's even crippled kind of in his physical body that's here, or was here, when he went through this particular ceremony. And then I started to freak out, and they said, no, they look at it, in this world with all these people coming together as, an honor, like he went so far to the point of him needing to clear it, that he was even willing to put, his physical body on the line to make sure that he had moved through it or cleared it, and did it for himself, which, kind of sometimes helps with the collective, not always, kind of a thing, but, and that was an honor, and that they highly respected him and all this other stuff. So it really kind of changed my idea of, what's happening to me. And then, like 2 days later, I'm walking on the ice at 4 a.m. on the sidewalk. So slick. It was so slick. It was like black ice, like sheet ice. And there was like nowhere I could step, right? And I thought I was doing pretty good. And then I flew up, and then I slipped super hard, and I flew up in the air, and I landed basically on my femur, like the femur head, and my hip on the left side. And I slipped, and I fell so hard that I couldn't get myself up. I couldn't even get myself to sit up. It was such an impact, that, like, I couldn't even get myself seated up, and my dog was like totally freaking out. And so I ended up kind of having to kind of lay there and just kind of like deal with the impact, because there was like this huge like shock wave that hit me. And then, I thought, okay, well, I'm laying here, I'm going to roll over, and I'm just going to feel my femur head just to make sure it's not broke or fractured or, anything like that, because I hit hard. And then I didn't, it felt sore, but I didn't feel really anything like that was broken or out of place. So then what I had to do was I had to like scooch on the ice until I could reach up on this brick and grass, so that I could actually drag myself over there and then get myself stood up. And then I kind of was in major shock, and then I could start to feel kind of my leg throbbing. So it was kind of interesting, because I didn't get a bruise. A friend of mine had me come over and use the infrared sauna yesterday in the afternoon, which helped a lot, heated it up. But it just shocked that there's like zero bruise. There's like zero raspberry, there's zero scratch, there's like zero bruise. And then all of a sudden, like after I got out of the infrared sauna yesterday, then my whole leg, the joint popped, which, something I've been working on because there's been some stuff that's stuck in there. But one of the things I got once I stood up is I was thinking about the elementals, working in the water. And Steiner talks a lot about this. It's just kind of been super awesome to read some of Steiner stuff because it fits in with a lot of the native work that I've done, but it's kind of more thorough and explanatory of a lot of this stuff. And the elementals live kind of in this dreaming world. They live in the same kind of dreaming conscious structure as animals. This is what Steiner says. It's like a dream for them, right? They're dreaming. So this is also where a lot of this dreaming medicine comes from, that I've been putting together for my whole life in the dreaming worlds. Comes from this kind of place of consciousness. And so I was thinking about the elementals that operate, in the elements and nature and all these different things. They're the spirits and beings and energies. And that, the elemental is working in the water, which is the ice. And so they were collaborating with probably these ceremonial people, like this big collaboration of all kinds of things happening when I fell. But they were the catalyst, right, to assist me in, breaking free, falling out, maybe even slipping into a new reality kind of a thing, and then releasing it from the physical body, kind of where it's being blocked from certain levels of consciousness, or there's emotional debris and scar tissue that are stuck in certain parts of my body. And anyway, last night, I got to see where let me make sure that person's not going to be on video. Yeah, we're good. And so last night, I had a dream, and this person, yeah, we're clear. This person stepped forward, in the dreaming world to help me clear some stuff that I had, with my parents and, other people in this world. And I get that I'm not the easiest being to love. I outright scare people, and my energy field is very confrontational to a lot of people, and it makes them freak out and stress out. But it's because of the light, and the truth and the light, comes into their arena, and it makes them just explode and freak out and stress out, because it's really working the darkness, and that's what I do. That's what I was born to do. That's what I came to this planet to do. But so I've never really been loved in the way that I need to be loved. And this whole thing that's come up in this Steiner group study course, and we're studying the karma of untruthfulness. We're in the volume 1, but we've also been talking about kind of being more in the light. And there was, in the 4th chapter, I think it was the 4th chapter, there was a statement that was made by Steiner, that this guy was loved in a elemental way, which was a force and was like occult magic. So this is kind of a theme that's been coming up, and one of the things that we're kind of thinking about in my study group is, what would elemental love be? What kind of elemental love could that be? And then I saw this beautiful picture today on Facebook of this native man, traditional, dressed. It's a historical photo, with a beautiful buffalo, and he has his hands on his face, and the native person's, forehead is touching the nose of this buffalo, and just the connection that they had. And to me, that's elemental love. That's dreaming together as, equals, friends, family. And so, the fall on the ice, dealing with the elementals was like them loving me. And it may not look like they're loving me because they helped such a forceful event to happen, but they love me so much that they're trying to help me. The ceremony is that might hurt my physical body and make me crippled, but going through the process of it, and then it's been initiated. So it kind of changes things sometimes, you know, like these things are happening to me. And now I see the difference. You know, if they happen to me, there's not a lot of damage, like the fall, like no visible damage. And today I'm pretty good. I have just a bit of soreness, but that, I mean, I could actually go run a couple miles and I would be fine. But just kind of understanding kind of the difference between what's going on when you're operating on the healing journey. Uh-oh, here we go. What are you coming on the rock? Here we go. Come on, you want to come up on the rock? Come on, you could do it. Okay. Yeah, because, you know, here we go. Here's Jen. Oh, hi. Oh, hi. You're giving kisses. Oh. So, yeah, Jen's like decided she's going to be on the rock with me here. I don't know if you can see her. She's she's the equal. We dream together. Giving her kisses. Yeah. So we dream together. And we're dreaming everything together in this reality. So, yeah, so that's what we're doing. So anyway, you're helping me with my conversation about what's been going on. I know. All right, so let me just put this down on the rock here. And then I can get kind of through it. Anyway, you can see her on the rock right next to me. She's all... she got to get into it. I'm talking about, you know, medicine, and you know, I can prove. I have photos of her. She's a fire medicine woman dog. That when Nathan, my friend Nathan Standing Bear was alive, I was allowed to take her to the ceremonies because she was such a big participant in the lodge that he would pour, and I would do the fire and the stones, carry the grandfathers for him, for his ceremonies. And so she would always lay on the door of the lodge, and she would help the people inside that came that were struggling. And the more they struggled, you know, the more she hunkered down, and she carried them into the dreaming world, right? And we're talking about how they work, how the animals' consciousness work. So yeah, so she would lay on the door, and one time I caught a picture because I was given permission to talk to people and take pictures and you know, about the ceremonies, because Nathan and a lot of the other medicine people that I was working with around that time period, native too, started giving permission because we had to share the information with the people and the truth. Otherwise, things weren't going to change, and they kind of went against some of their elders. And then they got cast out in a lot of cases, but thank God, because they taught me so much. But anyway, there's a picture of her laying on the door, and there's this ray of light coming down right into her, and while she's laying on the door. And that was a really big piece for me, seeing that, you know. And she was very serious about her position. She just lay there. She didn't roam around. She didn't mess the energy up, you know, of the lodge or the altar or anything like that. She just came in and did her job, and she didn't bother anyone when I opened the door. She just lay on the side, and I could deliver the stones and the medicine people. As soon as I put the door back down, she was on that door. She was there working with people on levels that they couldn't even imagine. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, she's just the love of my life. Kisses, I know. Let's see if we can get you on camera. Oh, hi. Oh, hi, everyone. Oh, hi. Oh, kisses for everyone. Oh. Kisses for everyone. Oh, you're just the best girl ever. Okay. Anyway, so where to go? So much going on. It's a wonder I can keep, you know, participating in this world, because I just more and more I'm just so stretched out between so many different worlds. So anyway, that's what's going on with me. And so looks like I'm doing purification stuff, and I'm really working on, you know, trying to you know, really focus in on this ceremonial thing that's going on in the dreaming world. And, you know, just working on what happened. Oh, yeah, and the dream. So this is the last piece of it. So last night in the dream, somebody stepped forward to help me. It was so funny at the end of it. I looked at him and I'm like, you're not my dad in this world, and you look younger than me. And then, you know, he kind of smiled, but carried me through this whole process of being loved. You know, my parents were pretty busy. They had a lot of their own stuff going on. They were working, you know, 2 jobs. My mom had been put in a mental hospital and had her abilities and, you know, whatever shocked out of her long before I came along. So, you know, I didn't really have like a super loving upbringing. And like I've talked before, I think my mom, even though she was very gifted herself, was very afraid of what the government would do to her if I somehow, you know, which I did all the time, because, you know, my abilities were very hard to keep under the radar. And I believe that it made her have alcoholism because she was terrified that she would be murdered. So, ooh, looks like I have a gang stalker. All right, maybe I can get him on camera. All right, you can see him. He's got like a hat on right there. Anyway, he's been looking at me and texting, Pretty sure he's a gang stalker because my tablet's GPS would have, you know, they would know I'm down here. Anyway, we might have some barking going on because, you know. I know, you're okay. Oh, you're all right. It's all right. It's a nice doggy. Sit down. Sit down. Okay, anyway, so what happened was that in the dreaming, this person helped me with, you know, the stuff that went on with both my dads, and you know, the one that, you know, the government was chasing and wasn't really part of my life and wasn't available to really love me, and my mom wasn't available to love me. It loved me in a like, hold you, it's going to be okay, support you on different levels. Like, didn't really have any of that. So I really had to fight in this world and, you know, identify like what love would be. And I love this whole idea of elemental loving that I'm working on, thinking about. But I went through this whole healing process, woke up again at 4 a.m. and couldn't go back to sleep because it was such an intense experience. But them helping me to like realize, like, you know, there was nothing wrong with me, and that, you know, in the end I was able to give permission about and then what it came down to was me telling this person, you know, like, it is okay for you not to want to be around me or like me or love me, and at any point in time that, you know, you have issues with me and you want to discontinue this relationship, you can just let me know. And then I just sat up, and I was still in there. And then after I got it all out and I looked at him, and then I said, oh, you're younger than me and you don't look like my dad in this life, and smiled. And then I woke up. But it was a catalyst for me to realize that I think that I may have been punishing myself for long periods of time and trying to become lovable so that people would love me, and love me in the way that, you know, I see other people that are loved. And then that's all okay. That, you know, I shouldn't really, that this is all just stuff because of, you know, when I was younger and I didn't really get held and I didn't get told that I was loved and that I was supported, and, you know, because, and I understand, I came conclusion to it a long time ago that, you know, my parents and people just had so much other stuff going on that, you know, it was hard for them to, you know, give me what I thought I should have, right? Here goes that expectation and the entitlement, you know, that I should have. And then basing, you know, my life on the should haves or what it should look like. And then even though pushing forward and forgiving them for it, you know, recapitulating that energy, but still always having this thing. And it was hidden in, you know, basically my hip and the left side, which was blocking a lot of awareness, left side awareness. So it was blocking a lot of the energy you know, fields that I pick up from other places other than this world, and how that was released, and then, you know, how it's all kind of worked out, and then now coming to that place, right? But anyway, I just kind of wanted to do a video on it because it's really intense, and I don't know if I'll make it. You know, I don't want to say it that way because that sounds negative, but I don't know if I'll physically be around if something should go wrong during this process of, you know, the ceremonial work. So I just wanted to let people know, and that's it. So anyway, have a great day. Thanks for listening. Talk to you later.